Think about moving your hand. You decide to lift your finger, and then your body executes the command. To our conscious mind, the choice is the direct cause of the movement. In the 1980s, neurophysiologist Benjamin Libet set up an experiment to test this chronology. He attached EEG networks to track motor cortex activity, asking them to note the exact millisecond they felt the spontaneous urge to move. The data revealed a gap. 300 milliseconds before the subjects recorded any conscious intent to move, their brains had already fired a massive electrical spike called the readiness potential. The machine was already in motion. Modern trials using transcranial magnetic stimulation go even further. Researchers use magnetic coils to forcefully stimulate the motor circuits that drive a subject's finger. When the finger twitches, the subjects don't point to the machine. They confidently claim they just decided to move at the last second. The subconscious machinery calculates and initiates the action long before the conscious mind is invited to the table. Our experience of intent is a trailing notification, not the trigger. This illusion is maintained by a specific biological mechanism, first identified in patients who underwent corpus callosum split brain surgery. By slicing the bridge between the two hemispheres, surgeons stopped catastrophic seizures, but inadvertently split the individual into two independent conscious entities. Human anatomy is cross-wired, meaning the speaking left hemisphere is now physically cut off from the mute right hemisphere. They can no longer share data, memories, or tasks. In a famous experiment, researchers showed a snow scene to the mute right hemisphere and a chicken claw to the speaking left. When asked to pick matching objects, the patient's left hand pointed to a shovel, while the right hand pointed to a chicken. When asked why they chose the shovel, the speaking left hemisphere had no access to the snow scene. Instead of admitting ignorance, it instantly manufactured a story. The chicken claw goes with the chicken, and you need a shovel to clean out the chicken coop. This module, known as the left brain interpreter, observes our actions and spins a continuous post hoc narrative to explain them. It prioritizes consistency over truth, rationalizing behaviors the conscious mind didn't actually initiate. We often view pure logic as the peak of cognition, but without the subconscious influence of emotion, decision-making fails. This was first observed in the 1840s following the brain injury of Phineas Gage. An iron rod destroyed Gage's ventromedial prefrontal cortex. His analytical logic and IQ remained high-scoring, but his emotional resonance was flatlined. He could no longer settle on a career, manage money, or navigate social environments. Modern patients with similar injuries enter an infinite loop of variable calculation. They can spend hours analyzing the viscosity of ink in a pen or the traffic patterns for an appointment, but they cannot arrive at a final choice. A healthy brain uses somatic markers, subtle, subperceptual gut feelings of anxiety or comfort. These markers act as an automated filtration system, instantly dropping poor options from the queue, so the analytical brain can focus its energy. Emotions are not disruptions to logic. They are the essential, automated shortcuts that allow our reasoning to function in a complex world. These automated responses aren't just shaped by our own lives, they are part of our biological inheritance. The field of epigenetics shows that we do not enter the world with a blank slate. Massive environmental trauma can trigger chemical signaling that places physical bookmarks, or methyl groups, on our DNA. Descendants of trauma survivors inherit these specific trauma survivors, which recalibrate how their inherited genetic recipes are expressed. This was demonstrated in experiments where mice were exposed to the scent of cherry blossoms while receiving a mild electrical shock, eventually developing a profound fear of the smell. Their descendants were raised in stress-free environments, never receiving a shock or encountering the scent. Yet the moment the cherry blossom molecule was introduced, the young mice panicked. Their parents' trauma had restructured their neural anatomy before they were born. Many of our deepest automatic responses are pre-programmed survival echoes, inherited directly from the struggles of our ancestors. If the conscious mind is a slow, post-hoc filter, what happens when we intentionally push the brain beyond the limits of logical control? Neuroscientists used fMRI scanners to track elite jazz musicians and freestyle rappers as they performed pre-written sequences versus spontaneous, unscripted improvisation. During improvisation, the brain executes a precise shutdown. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the internal critic and logical supervisor, goes dark, while the associative networks in the medial prefrontal cortex flare with energy. This is the flow state. By silencing the internal critic, the brain's associative machinery is liberated to connect sounds and ideas at extreme velocity. The artist becomes a pipeline for the subconscious mind. This high-level performance is not a product of the conscious supervisor. It requires the executive to step aside, allowing the associative networks to function uninhibited, and letting the automated biological machine play free from the illusion of self.